How important are civic trusts and civic societies for places?
Well, I'm always been astounded because I got involved a long time ago in saving the Hackney Empire, and that was just, we were like a little group saving one sort of place in Hackney, and we felt a little bit like sort of we were completely on our own. Then I did a programme called Restoration, and I went out and realised there were hundreds, thousands of buildings being supported by people across the country. And then I was introduced to the Civic Trust, and I found out, as it was called in those days, that there was an institution or an organisation that brought everybody together. Over the years, I've been to see the most incredible results of organisations like the Gloucester Civic Trust, working all over England to help preserve, look after, enjoy, really. I mean, I think this is working for everybody, really, because we sometimes we think that there's nothing we can do. Look what's happening, everybody goes, they're ruining that street or we're losing those things. In fact, things happen because nobody does look after things properly. Nobody calls the council to account. Nobody looks at the planning regulations or planning applications and says, actually, they're not allowed to do this, or we need better and more thoughtful planning for the centre of our town than a simple commercial imperative. And I know that there have been lots of planning sort of initiatives recently, and rather too many of them assume that the only thing that's of any value in any town centre is commerce or business or some sense. But that's an old-fashioned way of looking at towns, I think. I think as we move into the next century, we're talking about trying to make cities livable in and enjoyable and not sort of deserts after 5:30 at night, you know. And that aspect of it is all about thinking, what else is a city there for? Well, if it's a really pretty city, it's actually a good place to live. It's amazingly green. I live in the absolute centre of towns. I live in the centre of London, and I'm always fighting this idea that some sort of zoning is coming in, that what they want is more and more business, because actually there's less and less business that wants to be in the centre of town, and that means that there's more and more emphasis on what makes it a habitable and enjoyable place to be in, and that's what civic societies do. And what's really important is part of that is conserving the story of a town, conserving what makes people understand that they have pride in this place. There's nowhere more magnificent than Gloucester. It's just the most wonderful city with the most extraordinary range of beautiful buildings in it, and looking after them, taking care of them, but being aware of them at one level, and opening opportunities to enjoy them and see them and use them is part of what the Gloucester Civic Trust does, and should be saluted for it, and it needs more active members. So the most important thing is to say, I live here, I love this town, I love what goes on in it, I really, I think I'm proud of my city. Let me join this society and just add my weight and voice to give them more strength when they negotiate to prevent rather foolish things happening, because we live in a planning system which is actually opportunistic and gives people who want to sort of exploit it to do things to make profit for themselves and ignore other people. And we see this across Britain with really vast shopping centres built which are now emptying and nobody knows what to do with them. And as long as you have a beautiful city, that city will thrive. So as a final thought, I think people think about conservation as being about the past, and people worrying about, you know, ancient things. It's not. It's about the future. It's about what this city is going to be, what Britain is going to be, and what we love and cherish about it. You know, not just for our children, not just for ourselves, but for our great grandchildren. What are we leaving behind that they say, thank God that Civic Trust got involved and did that for us? And that's what that's why we should salute civic societies across Britain and support them wherever we can.